So I mentioned in my review for last week's episode that Aemond really had to hold his composure as his brother Aegon was laughing at him in the brothel. Like I said, nobody wants to be laughed at when they're butt-ass naked. You're very vulnerable at a time like that, so what the hell was Aegon thinking? The thing is, he wasn't, because he's an asshole. But this is one way to get revenge. This season has been a bit slower to start, although in my opinion, it hasn't been a problem. I'll admit I expected more episodes like this right from the very start, but I'm glad that we're here now. So let's dive into this really meaty and very tragic episode. What is happening to Daemon? The man seems to have reached a breaking point, and now he's going through some kind of a mental decline. He's already basically a psychopath, and now he's having hallucinations. He is seeing a young Rhaenyra, he's seeing the faces of his past, and this has been very fascinating and interesting. Where is this heading? For all you book readers out there, please don't put any spoilers in the comments. I don't want people's experiences with the show getting tainted, but I do think that something big is going to be happening with Daemon quite soon. Maybe something to do with that concoction that that woman made for him to drink. Who is she? What is she up to? Is she one of the witches? Is she a red witch? What is going on with Daemon? I'm quite curious. Alicent seems to be having some regrets, which is a sign that she is indeed human after all. After last week's reveal that Viserys was actually speaking about Aegon the Conqueror, she has been doing some light historical reading. Is this going to lead somewhere? I didn't read the book, so I'm not really sure. It will be very fascinating to see what is the point of this reading that she's doing. Is it going to have any impact on the storyline in the future? And what is this drink that she's drinking that the Maester made up for her? I'm really curious what that is as well. Rhaenyra's plan from last week completely failed. It was a very stupid, very risky, and very big Hail Mary of a plan, but she wanted to try it because she doesn't want a war. And you have to admire that part for sure. And her council is very much on the edge, waiting for some guidance about what to do next. What is going to be the next move? Rhaenyra left without telling anybody where she went, so nobody knows what the plan is. All they know is that Criston Cole and his army is making progress. He is toppling some of Rhaenyra's former allies, and it is not looking good. So when she finally shows up, she has a lot of explaining to do.
Where have you been these last days? You vanished without so much as a word.
And her son Jace, if you see, man, this kid was pissed off at her. And this scene is when she finally says, yes, I tried to make a plan. I was trying to avoid war. It didn't work out. Now we know that dragons and war is inevitable. Speaking of Jace, Rhaenyra finally tells him the story of Fire and Ice. What is this knowledge going to do for them? That is unclear. Is it possible that we're going to see some glimpse of the White Walkers before this series ends? Or is it always going to be a distant talking point? Because honestly, as a viewer, hearing the story of Fire and Ice being told to people in this show, it's not that interesting. So I am hoping it leads to something. Because sure, I'm glad that Jace knows the story of Fire and Ice and about Aegon the Conqueror, but unless this actually has an impact on the show itself, as a viewer, I'm not sure what we're getting out of it. Now, let's dive into the meaty part of this episode, the part that everyone was rushing to YouTube to talk about. When I saw that Alan Taylor's name was in the credits as the director, I knew that this was going to be a very big episode. Alan Taylor, if you're not aware, he is an alumni from the Game of Thrones days. He directed some of the best episodes on that series. And so when I saw his name in the credit as the director, I knew this was going to be a big episode. Something was going to happen. And indeed, something very much did. Criston Cole and his armies have been working through Rhaenyra's forces and trying to turn people to their side. They're going through, they're kicking people's asses, and they're saying, look, you now have to surrender. You can join and serve King Aegon, or you can die. The choice for most people is not to die. So his forces have been quite successful, which is the reason that Rhaenyra finally agrees to join this war and send Rhaenys on Dragonback into this battle. Now, I was very concerned for Rhaenys' safety. Yes, she's on the back of a dragon, but that does not mean that she's safe. Dragons are killable, especially in this world where there are currently other people that have dragons. And when we see Vhagar waiting in the woods, waiting for a turn to strike, and Aemond on the back, I was like, oh boy, this is not going to end well. Things get even more complicated for this fight when Aegon gets drunk and flies his dragon into battle. Now, we do get a really cool scene where Rhaenys and Aegon are basically fighting in the air, and Rhaenys' dragon is actually kicking his dragon's ass. That dragon sliced his dragon. There was like, it looked like black tar or oil coming out of his dragon, and I thought, oh my god, are they actually going to kill King Aegon right here? Enter Vhagar. King Aegon is excited. He's like, yeah, my brother brother's here. You're fucking screwed now, bitch. Unfortunately for Aegon, Aemond remembers every single time that his brother has belittled and bullied him and just treated him like general crap. So he is actually not here to save him. In fact, he launches a fire attack at Rhaenys, but he also hits his brother, and it's no big deal. He doesn't care, and Aegon's dragon crashes to the ground. I assume that he is dead, but we find out later on that maybe he's not, because we do see Aemond later on approaching his brother with a sword drawn. Christian Cole comes up and he puts the sword away, but I think that he was about to finish his brother off. But let's talk about that major death for a second there. This was so tragic. I was very devastated to see. Rhaenys was one of my favorite characters in this entire series. She has been the voice of reason in many instances. And like I said in last week's review, she has been like the good conscience on Rhaenyra's shoulder, preaching restraint and asking the important questions to make sure that this woman doesn't lose her path and just become a hysterical queen that is just bent on destruction. Seeing that scene where her and her dragon fall to their death was very sad. There is a moment of eye contact between her and the dragon, and they both know it's over. We have lost this fight. Rhaenys did know the risk when she went into battle. I have to expect that she did know that this outcome was possible. And once Vhagar showed up, that was a more than guaranteed result. For being such a very massive dragon, Vhagar sure is good at hiding behind things, coming up and attacking at last second. That dragon, I can't wait to see that dragon lose. I think it's going to take multiple dragons to take Vhagar out because that dragon is just way too big. For me, this is the best episode of the season, possibly the best episode of the series. I think that we're going to continue having this crazy forward momentum. Did you guys like this episode? It was very brutal. It was very sad. Poor Rhaenys. Poor her dragon. I can't remember the dragon's name. Meleys? I think the Meleys is that? I'm not good with these medieval names. They're just kind of tricky. What did you guys think of this episode? What did you guys think of this review? If you like this review, please hit the like button. And if you want to hear more of my opinions, and I'm going to be doing weekly reviews for this show, by the way, then you should hit subscribe. Later.